Hello everyone. Today I'm going to do something different. As you can see here, this is a print by the great printmaker Robert Blackburn called Windowed Shapes. This was done in 1963. Now, Robert Blackburn, born in 1920 to 2003, was often called the printmaker's printmaker. He was one of the pioneers of modern American printmaking, and I really feel he's underappreciated. He was raised in Harlem, New York, during the Harlem Renaissance, and he was considered one of the trailblazers in a field that is often close to people of color. And in 1947, he founded a printmaking workshop, the Robert Blackburn Printmaking Workshop. And it's a welcoming space where artists of any level and from any background could learn and create together. And the wonderful thing is it remains in operation up to this day. So in my description, I will put a link to the DIA organization that describes the work of Robert Blackburn. So without further ado, I'm going to use this inspiration piece to do a black and white print. So I'm going to start by putting some titanium white and I'm going to create a sort of a matrix of this is going to be a background with little touches of gray and black. And I'm going to do some cut stencil pieces like I usually do. Now these stencil pieces will create these stark white areas. So I'm going to reinterpret Mr. Blackburn's work. I have to mention that the reason that Robert Blackburn is kind of under the radar in terms of recognition, he was a very modest man, and I think he shied away from the limelight. But I really believe that he deserves the credit for his pioneering work in the field of American printmaking. So this is a horizontal format, and I'm just going to make sure that these pieces lay flat. Okay, and as usual, I'm going to apply my marks. And I'm going to do my first pull. Okay. There's some slight traces of green, but that's all right. So this is the first layer, and it sets the tone for the print. So as usual, I will set this aside to dry and keep adding different layers. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I have cut some copy paper into these rectangular shapes, and I'm using them as stencils as usual. And I'm referring to the inspiration print of the one that I'm looking at, and I just want to make sure that the stencils adhere to the plate. Now I'm using this black acrylic, and it's more fluid than most. This is a student grade paint, and I like using it because it goes on smoothly on the jelly plate because it's a little more fluid and it's less sticky. So I'm going to use my little brayer and very, very slowly spread the black paint. I'm being very careful not to lift the stencils. Even if the plate is sticky, sometimes the action of the brayer lifts the stencil off the plate, and I don't want that to happen. Have to remember these stencils are just made of copy paper and very fragile, especially when they're wet. So I'm just going to keep rolling, making sure that I fill in all the blank spaces. Okay, I have to apologize. In my excitement, I forgot to turn on my wireless mic. But as you can see, I've already inked my plate, and I've applied my stencils on it. So now I'm going to take them off, and hopefully the blank spaces will come out clean. Okay. Now, since this is nice and wet, I'm going to put some of my marks. Let me just make sure my fingers are clean. Don't want to get fingerprints over my paper. Okay, so here is the first pull, and I'm going to apply the second layer. And like I said before, there's no telling what the result is going to be, but keep my fingers crossed. And Mr. Blackburn, wherever you are, I hope you are pleased with this. I feel like he's watching me over my shoulder. Like every good teacher does. Okay, here's the exciting part. I can see that my mark making was quite successful. This presents a little bit of a problem because my table is not big enough. Here's my second pull. It's a little different in character, but it's basically the same inspiration that window shapes has. So I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes, and I'll see what I need to do to finish it up. Okay, I'm back. I cleaned off the plate, and this is the print so far. Now I have cut some collage pieces from some copy paper that I made, and I'm going to mount them like so here, and here's one here, and another one there. This kind of gives a 21st century twist to the image, and as usual, I'm going to be using my favorite Mod Podge, and for this purpose, I will, let me get my glue pad so as not to make a mess on the print. I will do the gluing on this little piece of foam core here. I haven't been able to show this on in the camera frame before because of this limited space on my printing table. This time the print is oriented this way, so there's a little room I do like this glue a lot because it's, well, first of all, it's a matte finish, and when it dries, it is practically invisible. So I'll do this little guy here. And it's a donut shape. There we go. And here's the last piece on the very bottom. And here, this kind of defines the edge of the print. Go like this, like so. Let me just add one more thing. I have some black tissue paper, and I want to fill in this part. There. So in this case, since it's very fragile, I'm just going to glue it directly, like so. And I think that's it. That is it for the image. And let me get the inspiration piece. So this is the inspiration piece, done in 1963. And this is a modern reinterpretation done in 2021. I really believe Robert Blackburn's work was way ahead. He was way ahead of his time, and he had to put up with a lot of setbacks. African Americans were not even allowed to work in art workshops. They had no place to work, and that's why that was his inspiration to found his own printmaking studio. So here's my tribute to Mr. Blackburn, and I hope your work will be remembered for many generations to come of artists and printmakers